Through Our Lens,
a cross-cultural look on AI bias.
Hi everyone, I'm Ming Fan from Florida International University, US.
Hello, I'm Luciane Tenani from São Paulo State University, Brazil.
Hi, I'm Yang Yi from Wuhan College of Communication, China.
Welcome to this podcast titled Through Our Lens, where ideas cross borders and voices connect cultures, created by students from China, the United States, and Brazil during our virtual exchange project. This series is the results of 8 weeks of collaboration, creativity, and global discovery.
The students exchanged their perception on linguistic and cultural biases in AI outputs as they engaged in a series of academic activities. Their reflection discoveries shaped the scriptwriting process for each episode, weaving their diverse perspectives into a shared global conversation.
Listen to their personal voices. You will learn more about the AI biases and AI tools cultural competence across American, Brazilian, and Chinese context.
Now tune in and hear what happens when students around the world come together to uncover the hidden biases of AI and the importance of building strong AI literacy.
We're here with a podcast episode. We're here to talk about AI bias, whether it's bias in the world of jobs, like occupational bias, the world of race, gender. It could be any type of bias like that. So I have with me a group from China. I'm from America, and we also have a group from Brazil. So will you guys introduce yourselves?
Yes, my name is Li and I come from China. So yes, our topic is about AI bias in different areas.
Hi, my name is Liu Le. I'm the host from China. Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Yasmin, the guest from Brazil, and I'm going to share my experience with the group.
So how about our first subtopic?
Alright, so our first subtopic is going to be about cultural bias, societal norms and values when it comes to like the first date. When I go into AI, and even without AI, like it's just societal norms in America for the man to pay for the first date. If a man is taking a woman out, he should be paying for the first date, and he should be able to provide a ride as well. But here in America, we also think about equality. So in my eyes, at least, me personally, I believe that a woman should also pay for the first date, because that just shows and that excludes, like, how am I trying to say this? It shows how independent and strong women are. And that's what feminism is all about. So women, get your wallets out, pay for the man, give him that Prince treatment, you know what I mean? But in reality, I believe personally, whoever invites who should be the one paying. So if a woman is inviting a man out, she should pay. If a man is inviting a woman out, he should pay.
Okay. I think there's a little bit difference in Chinese, but your opinion, we can agree more. But in Chinese, traditionally, it is more common for the man to pay the bill, whether in the reality or in the AI's content. So, which is regarded as a sign of the politeness and generosity, especially when the man takes the initiative to invite the woman on a date. Nowadays, through many young couples choose to split the check, or the woman will offer to share the expenses to show her consideration for the other party and independence.
Yeah, that's right. It is also a scene where a woman will pay half the check because she realizes she does not like the person she's on the date with and she wants to stop the relationship from going any further. Our AI response advises men to take the initiative in paying while also considering the woman's comfort by maintaining a respectful approach. It suggests ways for men to decline a woman's offer to split the bill without embarrassing her. Did not advocate for the woman to pay the bill with no questions asked. Overall, the AI was able to adapt to traditional Chinese culture and society norms when it comes to paying for the date, but it could show more fluency in new modern values that have been showing up in society recently where women decide to split the check for personal reasons. Well, how about Brazil, friends?
So I think it is. Let's go. So in Brazil, the idea that the guy should pay the bill is still kind of a thing with our parents and grandparents. But honestly, that's changing fast. Especially with younger people, it became supernatural to split the bill on a first date. And if it's not the first date, yeah, the woman might just pay the whole thing and no one thinks twice about it. But there's this cultural twist. Some guys still insisting on paying because they expect something in return, like a kiss or even sex, yeah, even on the first date. And that's really uncomfortable. So a lot of women prefer to pay just to avoid this whole complicated situation. Like, I don't owe you anything, thank you very much. The patriarchal is still pretty strong here, so paying the bill can actually be a small act of rebellion, like a way for women to say, hey, I'm independent, I've got this. Now, when he asked her Brazilian AI about this whole situation, it gave a super balanced answer. It didn't land towards one side, it just said that both people can offer to pay or share, without pressure, without expectations, and frankly, that reflects the direction we are taking as a culture. Splitting the bill is becoming part of the norm.
And next, shall we to talk about the gender bias?
When it comes to gender bias in AI, it can also be pertained to relationships, or it can be just men and women in general. So because we already got like the first date part out, might as well talk about like what AI might think about when it comes to stereotypes. So I remember doing research about this as well, and like earlier versions of AI, when you would ask them to describe what a woman would be, like just give a few words to describe a woman, the AI will give words like caretaker, family, mother, housekeeper, stuff like that. Basically like what Americans think a traditional woman is. And then when you put a man, like give examples of what a man would be, give a few words to describe a man, it would say headstrong, it would say provider, it would say hardworking, stuff like that, because that's what America sees as the traditional man to be. Always at work, has a family, is the provider of the house, he's the head of the household. But that's just not true anymore, especially in the times that we live in nowadays, especially with how inflation is. Nowadays, you need both parents working. So the AI, when it comes to describing a man or a woman, it's now it's no longer quote unquote traditional anymore, because times are different. Women aren't staying at home anymore. Women are working, women are out there, you know what I mean? And
Yes, I got it. And I think that is a good trend. So it can reflect the realities, society. So maybe the society change and as AIs produce, the text can be changed and influenced by the real members, maybe some works in the family. So I think that is a good trend.
Yes. But Chinese AI, on the other hand, tends to describe relationships through a more traditional and hierarchical lens, especially when it comes to gender roles and social etiquette. It often assumes that men should take the lead in paying for dates, not just a romantic gesture, but a sign of respect and responsibility. At the same time, we generated another entry that illustrates how AI bias is manifested in everyday life. This entry is, please help me with a love story. After content was generated by AI, we found that the women were often more passive in those love stories, like a character waiting to be redeemed.
Yes, in spite of that, I also made a little experiment about the gender in AI. Once upon a time, I just let AI produce an image of the a male fighter and a female fighter. And the AI give me the answer. I find that in the portrayal of AI, women are often depicted as a passive in love. And I think, not in love, but in the world.
Yeah,
Yes, sometimes they just wearing a little clothes, and often they are wearing the high heel shoes, and that is unreasonable. When we see the man fighter, they always serious and fully amorant, but the women, this completely unreasonable things, that is, they show some beauty and show some other things, shows their charm, but when they are fighter, I think that is unreasonable. They should show more their attitude about the world and about the enemy. So I think that is also a gender bias about the two gender, yes. And about our Brazil friends, how do you think?
Well, it's actually super interesting to look at how women are portrayed in relationships or even just in that first romantic interaction with a guy. When we asked the AI about who pays the bill, we noticed there is already a bit of change happening. It reflects a more modern take, which was cool. But then, when we asked it to create a love story, that's when things got a little weird. The AI gave us this super idealized, overly romantic version of a relationship, like straight out of a cheesy movie. And of course, it was all about young, trash, privileged couples, nothing outside the traditional box. And the whole of the woman, it was basically to be found, to be chosen, as if she were just waiting for someone to save her. That whole damsel in distress vibe. It really felt like a return to a much older idea of love in relationships, one that, yes, can still be present sometimes, but definitely doesn't reflect how things really are today. We found this to be a huge problem because it continues to propagate this false and outdated idea of what love should be. And honestly, not only is that unrealistic, it's also really damaging to women and to the culture itself.
Okay, we come.
Occupational bias.
Yeah. Me personally, if I was a woman, my man gotta make 6 figures, but that's just me though. Alright, so occupational bias in AI. So when it comes to occupational bias, when going into an AI, doing my research, I see that when you talk about like a white guy, you would the AI would give the white guy an occupation that requires a degree. So like a judge, a lawyer, a doctor, a college professor. But when you put in like a black guy or something like that, it would say something like a gardener, a chef, a rapper, an athlete, an actor maybe. But that's just not true anymore. So when it comes to occupation, there's a lot of bias. It's also a reflection of how a lot of people see the world. It's a reflection of how a lot of people view American society or view Chinese society, Brazilian society, English society, whatever type of society it is. That's just a reflection of what we see in the world and what we see in society.
Yes, yes, you are right. The AI bias often reflect the reality, and so before we get know each other, so your voice. So we don't know how the AI have their bias to change our image of you guys, but your voice. So firstly, I influenced by the AI bias. So I tender to think a black man maybe he's suitable for a rapper. So AI gives me the bias, and the bias influenced me. And your voice, I often influence that. So we think you are suitable for rapper, maybe.
Oh wow, nah.
That's cool. It's
magnetic.
And our teacher, I remember once in the class, she mentioned in some American or other countries, image and imagination, they always think the Chinese or some Asian country people, they are good at math. But in real,
I thought so too. I thought so too. I thought y'all were good at math. Y'all are good at law. Y'all go to Harvard in America. Y'all go to like the top prestigious schools.
but truthfully,
Exactly, we are not good at math.
yes,
Maybe some of other Chinese people are good at math, but we are poor at math.
yes. So every individual has their special trait. And besides, I also observed a recruitment software in China, and its name called Boss Zhiping, which is publicly acknowledged using an AI resume matching system. However, female users discovered that even when they applying for technical roles such as the software engineering, but persistently recommended administrative or human resources positions, this what actually happened in real life. Such a prejudice will have a significant impact on the overcome and efficiency of people's job hunting. So that happens in real life, and firstly it astonished me, but in the next step, the friend just told me the truth, and eventually I just accept it. But that is unfair. We should awareness that.
And it's unreasonable.
Besides that, I would love to know what's our
Brazil
speaker from the Brazil.
Thank you both for the amazing points. We are also expecting to see a middle-aged white man when we ask the AI to generate an image of a successful businessman. And yes, that's exactly what I got. A white man with blonde hair and blue eyes. This image does not reflect a successful man in Brazil, as there is a great diversity here, but it certainly reveals the idealized image of a high society man. I guess that you all made great points. When we asked the AI to generate an image of a smart person, it also gave us images of white individuals. We actually had to use really specific prompts to get any representation of people of color. For example, we had to say smart person, no white, just to get an image that wasn't white. Without that extra qualification, the AI just couldn't seem to break out of that default stereotypes. These findings really highlight the inherent limitation of AI when it comes to avoiding stereotypes. Isn't that weird? It's as if AI's understanding of race and culture is trapped in a Wikipedia image. It can't recognize the nuance of real people, just simplified version of us. And the scary part is that AI isn't just generation art or answers anymore. It's being used in education, healthcare, and even policing. If the technology itself carries biases, it will transmit those biases in high-stakes situations. And of course, unless AI developers train these models one more includes global data, they will continue to reinforce the same rigorous standards. Bottom line, if we want AI to represent all of us, it needs to learn from all of us.
All right, racial bias. Oof, I could literally be here all day, to be honest with this. When it comes to racial bias in AI, you can really go any route, like with occupational bias, because all of these topics, honestly, they link with each other. Because you can find racial bias in the relationships. You can find racial bias when it comes to the first date. You can find racial bias when it comes to occupation. I already gave an example of how they think Black people are with their occupation, thinking that all Black people want to be rappers or they want to be athletes, chefs or whatever. But that does also have a reflection in American society, because that's what a lot of Black people strive to want to be. They want to be rappers or they want to be athletes, and there could be a racial bias, and I believe there is. But again, AI is a reflection of what we see in the world.
Yes.
Yes, just like the stereotype always have the negative one or optics one.
Yes.
In some Asian country, and there's also a stereotype about us. So maybe someone thinks all of the Chinese are introverted, and maybe someone thinks we are traditional one,
and
maybe
don't like smile.
yes, and they think maybe always serious and seems to be a little dumped. Maybe can I say that? Someone thinks Chinese are a little bit slack. So every race stereotype always have the two sides of it. And
Yes.
as for more, so Lena, can you share with us?
I think it is maybe because of the data it's trained on. These tools are learning from the internet, and the internet's full of biased representations. If most images online show one version of a culture, that's the version AI learns to repeat. It doesn't know better unless it's taught better.
Yes, and representation matters, whether it's an image, a story, or advice. People need to see themselves reflected accurately. That's the least we should expect from technology that's supposed to be understand us.
Yes. We saw the same thing. The AI generated an image of a pale man in traditional dress, even though most young Chinese women wear modern and everyday clothes. It felt like it was pulling from old school stereotyped ideas of what being Chinese looked like. It didn't represent our generation at all.
Yes, furthermore, similar to what happened in Brazil, they say they have many different race and they are just reflect one of them. But similar in Chinese, AI really generates the portraits of ethnic minorities in China. It often default to depict Han Chinese people, but in China there's many other race like
Yes.
Mongolian or I don't know how to say English. It's Miaozu, Zhuangzu, and many other
Yes.
ethnic minorities, and all of this just be demolished, demolished by the AI. That's which are lacks much diversity.
So how about Brazil, friends?
Yeah, speaking of our descriptions, when one of the girls in the group, Isa, described herself, the AI made her much darker than she actually is, gave her hot curly hair, and dressed her in a super tropical clothes, like she was at a carnival or something. It was like, here's your one-size-fits-all Brazilian girl. But Brazil is incredible mix. We have white Brazilians, Afro-Brazilians, indigenous people, and everything is between it. And yet, the AI just ignore all that complexity.
Okay, so it's time to have the closing action. Today's pace are so quick.
Yeah. This AI bias stuff when it comes to race. And then all these different stereotypes, like with Black Americans, and like there's like I remember even like when growing up, there's this like a lot of stereotypes about Asians too. Like I remember hearing people calling Asians like yellow people, or saying that Asians just eat like shrimp fried rice and they eat cats, dogs, anything that they just
Yes, especially the dog themes.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen a lot of those. I've seen a lot of those jokes, those memes. I've seen a lot. AI definitely is getting better these days. We're getting less negative stereotypes, but we can do better. We definitely will do better. I know that for sure. But it also comes from how we perceive ourselves.
Yes, no more gray. So you have explained so many points of view. So firstly, we also have the same suggestion. Is that if we are the producer of the AI, the AI should adopt the opinions from people in different races, and whether of the stereotype is positive or negative. However, it's regrettable that sometimes some of the stereotypes are indeed true, such as you say the dog things in China.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
some of the Chinese, they truly will catch the dog, but it's hard to control. Sometimes it's the law didn't say anything about that. Some maybe the lack of the awareness about the life, so they can catch a dog and do something that hurt it. So if there is one example and the negative one will be enlarged by the news or the social media. And the social media, I think, this is the main source of the bias. So the negative one can be diffused and spread more quickly than the optimistic one, because people often seems to like more interesting about the negative things. So that makes the bias more and more obvious.
In my opinion, we shouldn't take one person to assign everyone.
Yes. Because in a nation, every individual has their special and unique.
Yes.
The next time you try to use AI software and face its responses, I hope you can pause for a moment and think a little. That will reduce the bias. This tiny bit of thinking will make the world a better place. And by the way, today we are discussed about this. That is the start of our progress.
Yes, this is an extremely serious issue, especially because we are using AI tools more and more in our daily lives. And these prejudices and stereotypes are being spread globally. These are prejudices that have become part of a collective unconscious, and AI ends up, directly or indirectly, contributing to this injury of centuries of hard-fought struggles against senseless stigmas around the world. It's really important to think critically about this and to develop a more conscious perspective when using AI tools. I hope these reflections have helped you to have a more critical view when dealing with the results that these systems produce.
So let's make maybe the last things, just to say goodbye to our viewers.
Yeah.
So I think it is. Thank you so much for listening.
I hope you have a good experience in our podcast, and hopes you can gain some interesting things. Maybe not knowledge, but some stories.
Yeah.
This episode was created by Leila Kalingo, Alisa Marina, Dovinsky Andrew, Ashley Jack,
and by Tainá Cristine de Souza Lima, Yasmin Letícia Porfírio de Almeida, Isabela Camilo de Moraes,
and by 李佑泽、徐志欧、花艺萌、王璐文、刘乐、肖涵月。
Thank you for listening to this episode. Comments can be sent to luciani.tanani@unesp.br, mifeng@fiu.edu, and yangyi @whmc.edu.cn.
Special thanks to Romulo Borim from the Laboratory of Phonetics at Unesp for the technical support on recording audios and podcast edition.
We also appreciate the contribution and support of Dr. Wen Fang, Ms. Fu Yifan, and Ms. Wu Ziyan from Wuhan College of Communication.
Through Our Lens, a cross-cultural look on AI bias.